Okay, in this quick little video I just want to show how to use Pathfinder and or Shape Builder to make a complex shape out of simpler ones. And what I'm going to do is build a gear. So first thing I'm going to do is actually just make sure Smart Guides are on. So go under View, just come down and verify that Smart Guides are on. Command U will give you Smart Guides if they're not on, or it'll toggle them off. Okay, and then with that I'm going to click under the rectangle tool, choose the ellipse, drag this out, and when I drag it I'm just holding down Shift, and that makes it into a perfect circle. Okay, next up is I need to make a tooth for the gear. I'm going to do that by getting out the rectangle tool, coming right over the top anchor point. Notice that it says anchor. I'm going to hold down Option or Alt on the PC and click and drag out, and what this does is it snaps the center point of the rectangle to that anchor point. So I know that this tooth is now at the topmost, it's directly on top of that anchor. So I'm just dragging it out kind of freeform and letting go. Great. Now I want to taper the tooth a little bit, so to do that I'm going to get out my white arrow and just drag a marquee across the top 2 points, and by doing that they're selected but the bottom 2 points aren't. I'm going to grab the scale tool, and as you've seen in other videos you can scale parts of objects, so now I can scale these 2 teeth at the same time, so that's a little more effective than manually moving in each side and kind of eyeballing it to get it right. Now to rotate this around the circle I need to have the whole object selected, so I'm going to get the black arrow again and just click on the object so the whole thing is selected. Again, I don't like to have the bounding box showing up because I think it obscures some of this other information, so I'm going to go under View and just choose Hide Bounding Box. Okay, now I want to rotate this around and make copies of it as I rotate. So I'm going to get the rotate tool, and I need to change its position, its pivot point. Right now if I rotate it, it's just going to rotate around its center point. I need it to rotate around the center of the circle. Notice that with Smart Guides on, it shows the center point, and I can come down and click, and that puts in the center point pretty much right on the dead middle of the circle. You'd need to have snap turned on, so notice if I go under View, snap to point is turned on, so that's what's setting this up. Just make that go away. Alright, so I clicked and let go. Notice that my cursor's changed. Now I can click and drag, and as I drag it's moving around the circle edge. Now all I have to do is hold down Shift, and that constrains it to 45-degree angles. So we constrain it there. Now I'm holding down Option. So notice I'm doing these things after I started moving, letting go. So I'm still holding down Shift and Option. Key with working with modifiers is let go of the mouse before you let go of the modifier keys. Okay, so I set it up once. Now I can press Command D to duplicate the transformation, or Control D if you're on the PC. Just slide all the way around. There we go. Now if I want to have another set of gears, let's say gears that are going to be right in the middle here. The gear I made is kind of skinny, or actually kind of fat if I have another set of gears, but just for the heck of it, I'm going to show you how to do that too. So I'm going to just press Command A to select everything. Get my black arrow and hold down Shift. I'm going to deselect the circle if I can get that in there. Yes, notice that it's no longer outlined with blue. So Shift click on an object to deselect it when it's selected. Now I'm going to go under Object and Transform, Rotate. We know that half of 45 is 22.5, so I'm going to just put in 22.5, and I'm going to press Copy rather than OK, and that's going to make copies for me that fit right in the middle here. Alright, now again, if you wanted to be really precise and you wanted to make these teeth so that the meshes in between were perfect, you could go back and fiddle around with this and make it a little skinnier. But for right now, this will do the trick for what we need it to do. Okay, now I'm going to just press Command A and show you a couple of different ways that we could put this together. First, we'll just use the old standby. I like Pathfinder. I'm going to go under Window, down to Pathfinder. The very first option in Pathfinder, the upper left-hand one here, click on that, and it takes all those overlapping shapes and just combines them into one. So you could just stop there and be done with it. But I also wanted to just show you Shape Builder. I think I've gone over Shape Builder in another tool or another movie as well, but we can do it here too. Shape Builder, you kind of paint all this together. So I just kind of drag, and it combines all these shapes together. Notice it's just kind of putting them together here. So I guess the advantage of this would be that you could be a little more artistic in the way that you're painting your shapes together, rather than using a straightforward command. I just kind of think Pathfinder for this object is more sensible. So I'm going to just undo back until we get back to, oops, I guess I can't do that. Sorry, I have to go back to this point here. So now with everything selected, again, I'm just using this first button. It's united. Great. Now, we could stop at this point, but I thought I'd take this one step further and show you a compound path when we're dealing with a gear. A compound path is just a way of making a kind of a donut shape for a gear. So we could do that any number of ways. I could start with an ellipse, come over and find the center point. Here's the center point. Could build this thing out. Press Command A so that they're all selected. Go under Object, Compound Path, Make. Now when you see this, it doesn't seem like that much of a big deal. Let's go ahead and apply a gradient to this. And you'll notice the gradient goes across the shape. And if I make another shape, and I put it behind, let's see if I can just go in here, arrange, send to back. The cool thing about a compound path is that this interior shape defines the edge of the shape. It's not like filling it with white. We're actually turning it into a window. So we're saying that this object has multiple edges. And in fact, if we look in the layer palette, you'll notice that we have one shape here that's a compound path and then this other path. These two paths are viewed as one thing, which will be important when we get into clipping masks or the draw inside feature. Okay, so we could build it that way. I'm going to go ahead and release that compound path and show you another way that we could do this. So to release it, I'm just going to go under Object, Compound Path, Release. Delete that. The other way we're going to make this is I'm going to use a really old handy friend. Go under Object, down to Path, and I'm going to do Offset Path. Offset Path is great for running along the edge of a path and creating another shape. Just check it out when I preview it. So instead of scaling, it follows exactly the edge. When you have a positive amount, it goes to the outside of the shape. If I put in a negative amount here, it goes inside. You can have different kinds of joins. Right now it's just doing a hard edge corner join. That's what a miter edge is. We could round those edges over. Notice how they round here. We could also bevel them. And just for what we're doing, I'll go ahead and bevel them. You can probably see where I'm headed, but now I'm going to go ahead and make a compound path out of these two shapes. When I do that, now I have this cool gradient running inside of the shape. And we could go ahead and make copies. This is where having gears that actually mesh together would be cool. But you notice that I can just drag these guys down. And make multiple little copies here. So that's kind of what compound paths do, is they give you, again, a donut hole or a window for a shape. And then the other thing, obviously, that we worked on with this was Pathfinder, to make kind of a complex shape, a gear, out of just a couple real simple ones, a circle and a rectangle. I hope this has been a helpful movie. Please let me know if you have questions. Thanks.